how to beat Azamina Snake Eyes. So off the rip, I'm going to shoot straight into the point. No BS, no chaser. Smash that like button and hit the subscribe button for more. The first card most players talking about using to beat this deck is Retaliating C. Retaliating C is an old card and it's a really powerful effect. Effect pretty much reads, during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a spell card that includes the effect that special summons a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. If special summoned this way while this card is face up on the field, any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add one Earth insect monster with 1500 or less attack power from your deck to your hand, except Retaliating C. And the OCG players are using this. For one, it's when they go ahead and use their new Azamina card picture up on the screen to do their Azamina combos and special summon a monster. You activate this, give them the Retaliating C. Now you're effectively floodgating them, and they're gonna pretty much have to pass turn unless they can find a way to get rid of it. And if they do get rid of it, the players in the LCG are going to go ahead and search that Max C. We don't have Max C, unfortunately. We got to do the Mocharmy cards. And unfortunately, Konami did one of these numbers to the Mocharmy cards all over our faces and have to make us play premium dollars like we're in a strip club just to get the cards. Really frustrating, but we got to do what we do, right? To make sure we play this children card game that doesn't reward us for being good players. Outside of the Azamina Snake Eyes matchup, it's getting his decks like freaking Branded, Heroes even. Any deck that have a card, a spell card that says special summon a monster in her deck, you can side this card in. So it's a multi-layer card that's good for multiple decks against the format. Other smaller decks that are pretty good but may not be on players' radar. Sky Striker, freaking Tearlaments. I know there's a lot of players that's kind of on that here and there, trying to keep the deck alive. Man, there's multiple decks that card hits, so it has multiple decks that it can hit, but the main deck, like I said, is going to be hitting is Snake Eyes Azamina. You guys already know, for you guys that have been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Over the past year, Snake Eyes have multiple iterations, but it pretty much all does the same thing. One card starters, Snake Eye Ash, Snake Eye Poplar, and on a stupid board with the freaking IP Masquerade in the back row, the field spell that allows you to get the summon from the back row, and the Flamberge that allows you to do plays. Why isn't Flamberge banned? I have no idea. It's the reason why people want cards like Shifter banned, because players that play these decks, like the Snake Eyes decks, cards like Shifter, Retaliating C, Darklaw even, craps on these decks, they're heavily graveyard based, and if they can't cycle things out of the graveyard, they're just gonna lose. So to beat a dead horse, because I'm gonna beat this dead horse right now, you guys want to make sure you have Retaliating C in your side deck at 3 instead of this format, no exceptions. You possibly can get away with main decking it, however, side deck is where it's going to be. Now this card, you guys are probably going to be main decking, but it's also justifiable to side deck depending on where you're at. A lot of players are saying this format is going to be tier 0. I don't know if it's going to be tier 0 or just a tier 1 format. I don't like to just say things are going to be tier 0 until the format fleshes out, because unlike in the LCG where things dominate, TCG are slightly different, and I would actually argue TCG players have gotten slightly better than LCG players over the past couple of years, and I think this year's World Championship has proved that. Some people say it's because OCG players are switching out the card games. I just think TCG players are finally just grinding it out and studying the LCG. And that's Droll and Lockbird. Droll and Lockbird is going to be either in your side deck and or main deck this format. Why, you guys may ask? A lot of the Azamina cards search. You activate Droll on the opponent. The opponent is now Fucked. Now, if you do Droll too early, sometimes they can still do their Snake Eyes combos, especially if you do it off of Snake Eyes Ash. We've seen this in previous formats where the Snake Eyes decks can still pop off under Droll and Lockbird. However, I'm still going to Droll wherever I can Droll against this matchup. Yeah, it's always better to Droll under the Bonfire or the Azamina cards that are going to search, because if you do it on the Azamina cards, like a 1-card combo, they're just going to pass turn. They cannot play. And unless they have a handful of hand traps, they're going to lose. But knowing them, if you Droll them, they have some Snake Eyes stuff. They still probably be able to do a little bit of combos and end on a suboptimal board, really trying to survive off of IP Masquerade and a Little Knight. However, with that being said, I think Droll is probably going to be in everyone's main deck, but if you don't want to main deck it for whatever reason, have it in your side deck, I'm probably going to have it in my main deck, because this deck is going to be way too powerful, and yeah, If I'm gonna be sitting it in 90% of the time, why not just have it in the main deck? You might be able to argue at locals it's not main deck worthy, but yeah, Droll is definitely gonna be needed moving forward going into this format. Now, obviously, Dark Rule no more, board breakers are gonna be pretty good against this deck. The only thing about Snake Eyes decks in general, board breakers can't really stop them that much because they have layers on top of layers of interruption. When you do board breaker, you stop their Omni Negate and some of their board plays with the Flamberge. However, when they have their field spell and or their Promethean Princess in the graveyard on top of the field spell that brings the IP from the back row to the front row to make the IP go into the Little Knight, you still got to deal with some BS. But I would argue, even though you got to deal with that BS, you just got to have multiple different things to do going into this metagame. That's one thing that sucks about the meta we're going into right now and just Yu-Gi-Oh! In general, which is why players are just leaving the game in droves, because you have to have multiple cards to do things against decks that pop up with one card. Like players like me who like to play decks like Heroes that are arguably fair, it's really hard to pop off against decks like that where it's kind of like I'm beating the opponent, I'm out-skilling them in resource management. However, their deck is just powerful. They just press a button and just come back and win. But we're not here to complain. We're here to talk about beating this deck. So board breakers are good. Just make sure you are conscious of whenever you use your board breaker, you have a follow-up play for their back row. And don't forget about the Princess. Don't forget about the IP, the Little Knight plays. Those are real. I've seen, I'm gonna give him credit where credit's due. I've seen Yugioh, shout outs to him. Talked about Typhoon. Maybe if you guys are running decks that can fit extra hand traps, you might want to think about siding Typhoon too. Because Typhoon is when your opponent has 2 or more cards in the back row, you can activate it from your hand to destroy a spell and trap. So if you're going second against them, and they already have somewhat of a board set up, you can Typhoon the Little Knight in the back row. The IP Master Ring in the back row. You can Typhoon their spell card, like the field spell, and be in a slightly better position on your following turn. This is one thing a lot of players haven't talked about, but I just thought about talking about it right now. Going into this format, like I said, you have to have multiple different things to do in a turn. The most important card you guys want to make sure you guys are going to be running in this format anyway, Infinite Impermanence. You guys want to save your Infinite Impermanence for certain plays and certain grind points of this matchup. So when you're citing things like evenly matched, for example, or whatever board breaker you have, let's say you have Raigeki, for example, the Azamina deck, they typically end on the Azamina dude that has the triple cost to negate a card. You can Imperm him, force the negation, and then go for your board breaker like an evenly matched to do more stuff. Yeah, you're gonna still probably have to do like a Promethean Princess and potentially a SP Little Knight play if they could still follow up with something. However, having that Imperm with the follow-up is huge. We've seen this in prior formats where people have Imperm Droll or even Imperm Nibiru and just wreck people's face, like literally. Imperm is gonna be crucial. So depending on your hand, when you open up your Imperm, if you open it up with like a Nibiru or evenly matched, make sure you hold it to stop the Omni Negate. So that way you can pop off and try to go for the LTK as quick as possible, especially if you're not playing a meta deck. Now, if you're playing a meta deck, guys, you should be good. Like if you Imperm Droll them or Imperm Nibiru them, you should be well in tune with your deck to come follow up, come back and win. However, if you're playing a road deck like myself, like Heroes, resource management is gonna be very important. And every little thing you're gonna do is gonna determine if you're gonna win or lose in this game. So make sure if you save your Imperm for specific situations in the game with a follow-up play so you can OTK. You wanna OTK decks like this as quick as possible, because if you don't, they're gonna top deck one card, come back and win. I'll give you guys an example. When I was at Locals last week, I'm playing against freaking, I think it was Snake Eyes or Yugioh. We going back and forth. He top deck, boop, 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 boop. No, it was Snake Eyes. No, it was Fiendsmith, Rescue Ace I'm thinking about. But Snake Eyes decks can do this too. I'm whooping his ASS in this matchup. We're going back and forth. He top deck Diabella Star quick play spell, search out this combo, and then started popping off from there. Off of one card and then on a big freaking field. So in a state of the game where decks can just pop off and on big boards off of one card, you want to try to just OTK them as far as possible. Then of course other things is good as well, like from winning in time, like Don't think the Ghost Sister card that boosts your life points up to winning time is gonna be bad. Still keep it in your side deck as well, because this deck is gonna be special a lot. And if you guys are gonna have a long grind game, which I predict to see a lot at locals and at YCS and regionals, there's 2 minutes left on the clock. Y'all are siding going to game 3. Let them think they finna pop off. As soon as they start special summoning, Chain, Ghost Sister, and Spooky Dogwood, I think that's his name. Game 500. Game gonna give me another 500. You gonna give me another 500? Please let me get some more 500 so that way I can just beat your ASS and win in time. So this was how to beat Azamina in detail. Post your thoughts and opinions about this video. Comment section down below. Like the video if you're new here. If you guys want to subscribe for more, like I said, subscribe for more. I'm trying to bring you guys more consistent content. And yeah, man, it's your boy Rogue Hero, and I'm signing out. Peace and stay innovative. You guys have a great rest of your day.